Hi, and today I'm joined with the Business Wellbeing Club and Ross Jones. So, could you introduce yourself and what you do?
Thank you, Tamara. Yes, so I am Ross Jones. I'm the founder of the Business Wellbeing Club, and I work with businesses to help them grow and improve the business well-being of the business.
And what made you want to set up the Business Wellbeing Club and why?
Okay, that's so I was working as a business growth coach, and I found myself um, just generally, I like to put people in touch with each other. So I introduce people to people who I think will be good for them in business. And I found myself doing this more and more because I meet a lot of people throughout my business, and it gives me great joy. So introducing people who I know will be helpful to each other, and that's how they can grow their business, if you like, through referrals. And because I love doing it, I just decided, do you know what, I could probably make some money out of this. So I set up a business. That's really how it came to be a business. It's really setting up a business, doing what I actually love to do. So that was how it came about. And also because at the time, I had thought about it before the pandemic, but I hadn't actually got around to doing my website, that kind of stuff. So we were ready to go just as lockdown came about. So it became an online business, and it's remained online. Although we do meet each other face to face from time to time. Now we can.
I definitely think that creating like those connections as well, like you said, and making those connections with people and referring them to the businesses and stuff, I think that definitely like strengthens more of a business working relationship with them and helps them to sort of expand that out as well. So I think that's really good. And sort of what do you do like within your role as a business wellbeing and leadership coach, and what sort of made you want to become one and why?
Well, that's a great question because I came to where I am now through a very circuitous route, actually. When I was a child, I always wanted to be a teacher. But then I realized when it came to doing the PGCE that I didn't like children very much. Well, I didn't really like the idea of teaching children. So I gave that up and went off into corporate. So went off to London to find my fame and fortune, and I had a great corporate career. But then I ended up in a job where I decided when it came about, the culture wasn't that good. It didn't fit right with my values, and I had stopped learning really. I'd been doing the same thing for a long time, and for me, one of my values is to continuous learning. That's what I'm about, and I felt I was prevented from learning anything in my last job. So, and just out of the blue, I had a phone call inviting me to think about buying a business coaching franchise, and it just seemed like an amazing opportunity. So back into teaching in a way. So so that's what I did. So I gave up my corporate career to train to be a business coach, and that's how that happened. And that was a few years ago now.
And how do you sort of support these businesses, and what has been your biggest milestone?
So the support I give to businesses is really to provide an external perspective. When business owners are in the business, it can be very easy just to lose the bigger picture. And so something quite simple or quite obvious, they don't notice. So an external perspective. And I guess the biggest support really is because business can be very lonely, and it can be a bit of a roller coaster journey, up and down, up and down. And having somebody to bounce your ideas off is a great thing. But also having somebody really check in with what you're thinking, because we can get in business, you can get really wrapped up in your thoughts. Well, all humans can, of course, and you go off down some little rabbit hole. And it's actually having somebody help you back out of that rabbit hole, if you like, and reframe the way you're thinking. I think that's a big support I give. The biggest milestone probably for me was after having set up the Business Wellbeing Club, I adapted I adapted my own experience and the experience of my clients to create a new framework for business, because it occurred to me that through my own experience and that of my clients, it occurred to me that in business, it can be very easy to focus on sales and the money, because let's face it, brutally, a business's purpose is to make profit. But actually, if all we focus on is that money, the bottom line, to the detriment of everything else, then we can end up, because of the very nature of business and the seesaw effect it has, we can end up losing touch with our family, our friends, neglecting our health, getting frustrated, and basically burning out, and then losing your business. So I developed a concept called balanced business, and it's based on the business wellbeing, and I've called it the 5 principles of business wellbeing. And this framework, to me, is a major milestone, because it changed the whole way that I approach running my own business and the way I teach it to other business owners. And it enables you to concentrate on those 5 principles, which is not rocket science, but if we focus on these 5 principles, then the money actually follows. So it's like there's a thing called the law of precession, or the fact that everything happens at right angles. If we dive straight to the goal of the money and neglecting the right angle, then it just leads to frustration and burnout. But if we focus on the right angle first, it will take us to our destination, if that makes sense. And the 5 principles that I'll share, I say it's not rocket science, but it's the thing about consistency and focus, and actually planning this into your day every day. The 5 principles are: number 1 is building relationships. So building relationships with your prospects, with your customers, with your suppliers, with your friends and families, with your employees. Building and nurturing to sustain relationships is key, is critical. Number 2 is taking personal responsibility for your health and well-being. So it can be easy in the short term to think, oh, it doesn't matter if I don't exercise today, or if I just drink coffee all day, or if I eat chocolate bars all day. But the long-term consequence of that, the compound effect, can be massive. So taking personal responsibility for our mental, physical, emotional health. Number 3 is about learning and growing. So to grow our business, we have to grow ourselves, and the easiest way to do that is to learn new stuff and implement it. And that's key, continuous learning, which, for me, it's one of my core values. And then the 4th principle is abundance, which you can think, what does abundance mean? For me, abundance is about knowing there's enough for everybody. It's about knowing there's plenty, not afraid of the competition, being grateful, being ready to give as well as to receive. And then the 5th principle is having fun. And I think that very often we can forget to have fun. And it should be. I think it should be a game. So if it's not a fun, it's not playing, then actually I think we're doing the wrong thing. So that, to me, is my major milestone, really, just creating that.
I think that's really great, what you're trying to do and what you've succeeded so far. You've also written a novel, so could you tell me a bit more about what this novel's about and what it was sort of like to create it and write it as your own?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I can show you my novel. My novel is published on the 18th of March. It's called When I Was a Girl. And it's not, well, I guess the only link to business is that because I'm also a hypnotherapist. I'm a trained hypnotherapist, because I'm just fascinated with people's minds. So with that and life generally, and working with people and just being a human being, one of the things that fascinates me is the impact of your parents or carers and their parents before them and their parents before them on the programming that we have and the person that we become through that programming, and whether it's possible to break that pattern. That's the sort of theme of it. But it is a novel, and it was inspired actually by the death of my mother and my sister. They both died of cancer, and I'd always wanted to be a writer, and it's one of those things that gets parked. Sometimes when you have these childhood dreams, like the teaching and the writing, you just get on with life, and you think you'll do it one day. But now I'm just driven to do whatever I'm driving to do. So when I lost my mother and my sister, it became I had an inspiration for a story, but then I think to actually write the novel was something that I really had to do because I put it off all these years. But the inspiration was because my mother made some quite bad life choices. Well, bad life choices. She made some certain life choices, which had occurred to me that my sister had actually copied those, unconsciously, of course. So that's how the idea about these patterns came about. But it does contain some dark topics. So it's, for example, it has themes of domestic violence, sexual abuse. So it's got some quite tough stuff in there. What was it like to write it?
Yeah.
What was it like to write it? Actually, it's my first novel. I've never tried writing a novel before. I was lucky. I had the idea back in 2019, I'd say after my mother died. And I sort of wrote the beginning and then parked it nearly for a whole year. But then I was lucky because one of my clients had a copywriting business, and she also mentored. I found out she also mentored people who wanted to write a book. So I signed up for 3 months, and she helped me plan it out. So I actually got the plan done. So all I had to do then was just write it. So I just wrote. It took me 9 months. It was my baby. It took me 9 months to write it, and I really loved it. The whole creative process of making up plots and things, just loved it.
And do you plan on writing more novels in the future as well?
Yes, so I've already started planning the second one. I've got a bit distracted because I've got to promote this one first, but I am starting to plan out the next one. There will be characters from the first book who I bring into the second book. Yeah. And I've got a third one as well, in just a sort of theme in my mind. So yes, I love it so much. I can't stop now.
That all sounds very exciting. So what do you sort of wish to accomplish in the near future with the Business Wellbeing Club?
Well, the Business Wellbeing Club, it's really important to me, and it's based on, so when I set it up, because it's a sort of online supportive community, it's also got like a business networking group, I guess. And when I set it up, I've done a lot of business networking over the years, and I wanted it to be based on really strong values, and which it is. So it's based on collaboration, a desire to support and help each other. Again, like the 5 principles of business wellbeing, having an abundant mindset, so being grateful and wanting to share your contacts list, if you like, having fun, wanting to learn and grow, all those great things. So that to me, when I'm in it, when I'm at our meetings, it fills me with joy, really, knowing that, or seeing how the members have embraced those values. And so my plan for that is just to want it to grow, because I think that these values are so important in business, in life, in the world right now, quite frankly. So that's what I wish for my Business Wellbeing Club.
Just wanted to say thank you for your time with the interview, and I wish you all the best with your novels that will be coming out in the future, and along with your business as well.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely speaking with you, and I wish you all the best with your studies.